Start out with a presentation on cost share expectations. Jason Fitzel, Interim Executive Director of the Kansas Infrastructure Hub, on behalf of the Build Kansas Steering Committee. Jason, welcome committee.
Revisit that after brief discussion about the meeting last month. Just to revisit it, I did go back over the meeting recordings, the minutes from past meetings, and just to make sure that we were capturing everything that said back in June, July of last year. But I did excerpt our policy that's shared in our program guidance with all of our applicants. And I highlighted a few key portions here. That the expectation is that the cost share should be significant enough relative to the Build Kansas Fund request to demonstrate the eligible applicants' commitment to the project. We did give some guidance at 5% of the non-government match, good guidance, but not a requirement. Also did provide for some exclusions. Eligible applicants to provide detailed written justification to be granted an exception to or exclusion from the expectation. Also, that eligible applicants that team together on an application to demonstrate originality may also be considered for exclusion on a case-by-case. The slides that we presented at that August meeting after we taken the meeting in July, including the policy form, really just forwarded the points of what I just said. Second slide is providing the exclusions and the ability to provide justification for that. Again, for collaborative applications of regional projects, we also do this exclusion on a case-by-case basis. And I know we do have to exclude pararetention of the team request today. So with that, that was my presentation on these topics.
Questions? Seeing none, please proceed.
Oh, I'm sorry, there was one more slide. I did, and this wasn't presented in August of last year, but it is something that we present publicly to all applicants. That is, if there's $1 million project that requires a 20% non-federal cost share, that comes to $200,000. With our expectation of 5% match, that means the locals are requested to come up with $10,000. Just wanted to touch on our dashboards, where we stand currently with the fund. I did box in the top right corner, and then the next slide will add those together. We do have $87.4 million approved. We do have $87.4 million that is approved and either awarded or awaiting federal award. We've summarized that on a new table here. That's not one of our dashboards, but $53 million is awaiting federal award. $34.2 million has been awarded federal funds. So total to date is $87.4 million. And then requests today that are being considered by the committee is $3.8 million. That would total $91.2 million if all those are approved today. This just breaks down the number of applications. As you recall, in the last few months, we have had 20-some applications each month that have been considered. Those 4101D grid resilience projects, of course, the Safe Streets and Roads for All that you have been seeing these last few months, and then the airport infrastructure grants. So we have climbed up in terms of number that are awaiting federal grant award. I will say, I mentioned at the end of the meeting last month, we've seen great progress in those that have been awarded, seeing their grant agreements be completed and going through the process.
We haven't seen a lot of movement yet on the awards. Those have kind of, I think with the new administration, are just being considered and being ranked and reviewed. So we anticipate those shortly. This is just a breakdown in terms of dollar amounts. We've been awarded $34 million in federal grant awards, are awaiting that $53 million, and then $93.46 million has not been awarded, so that is recycled then back into the Build Kansas Fund and restored for future applicants. In terms of those awards, we have unlocked $75.53 million in federal funds, which gives us a return on investment of 221% currently. And then finally, I wanted to include our technical assistance. We've been very active in this realm, even with the kind of slowdown in the IIJA realm. We have been reaching out to local communities and providing support for all manner of grant applications, not just IIJA related. This it just graphs that over time. It's our meetings, phone calls, emails, site visits that are conducted. We did see a peak in April. This was due to our 2025 Kansas Infrastructure Summit that took place in Lindsborg. We did have our team just kind of canvass the state at that time, go out and do a lot of site visits. So we saw a jump there, and then are now experiencing just a little bit of a valley due to the summer months. And that is it for the dashboards.
Any questions? Representative Francis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, sometimes I don't think we take into account additional benefits of some of our outreach. Have we seen, or were you able to help communities as part of this technical assistance over time access grants that wouldn't be part of the Build Kansas, or does that opportunity arise?
Yes, absolutely. We are going outside of the IIJA NOFOs to provide support on all manner of applications that are infrastructure related. Mm-hmm.
Is there any way to document any of the successes in that area?
Sure. Yeah, I will. We'll bring something back to the next meeting that can further document that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions? Seeing none, please proceed.
All right, we'll jump into the application review. We did just kind of portion these off by grant programs. So first is the Safe Streets and Roads for All. Did want to give just a little bit more background on the program. This first slide is similar to what I presented last month, just the breakdown between planning and demonstration grants and implementation grants and what funding is available for those. Probably the key takeaways there, the last bullet on the page, is that there remains $1 billion for the next cycle in fiscal year 26 to allow some of these planning and demonstration grants to move on to implementation phase. The graphic on the right just sort of shows how there is actually, you know, I said track 1 and track 2, there is a middle ground there, the supplemental planning and demonstration grants that you see the roads go either planning grants or implementation grants can pursue that, that route. But as we discussed last month, the SS4A implementation, or that track 2, must have an eligible comprehensive safety action plan, or CSAP. I may use for the rest of the day just to keep it shortened. It's a data-driven safety analysis that justifies the projects, prioritizes them with a process that includes local buy-in, and then includes evaluation processes for evaluating those projects. Just again, to reiterate that track 1, the planning and demonstration grants, this can be used either to develop that comprehensive safety action plan, or CSAP, also to conduct supplemental safety planning, and to carry out demonstration activities that are more temporary projects on the ground to evaluate what is being recommended. And then those implementation grants implement strategies or projects that are consistent with the existing safety action plan that's in place and address roadway safety problems. And then this is just a map of the existing SS4A awards in the state from fiscal year 2022 through fiscal year 24. You'll see the stars are individual cities that have received awards, and then the shaded areas, often multi-county areas, are the regions or counties that have received SS4A awards. And then this chart summarizes the applications that are under consideration today. Just highlighted in the bottom there that you're considering $3.578 million in SS4A requests today. 6 of those are planning and demonstration. 2 are supplemental planning and demonstration, and then 3 are implementation. And with that, the first application is 141, City of Douglas. Douglas High School and Middle School are both located along Highway 77, introducing safety risks. There's been increased interest as new development on the east side of the highway. It's also where Dollar General, the sole grocery store in town, is located, and it's cut off from the rest of the town. There's no safe way to access across the highway, and there's a lack of pedestrian infrastructure in the area, as well as throughout town. Safety concerns include low visibility at important intersections, railroad crossings in town, lack of signage, and issues with pedestrians crossing a high-speed street. Several known issues have seemingly affordable and effective solutions like increased signage and improved pavement markings. And this plan will recommend best practices in safety technology to update pedestrian infrastructure, improve roadway design, investigate roundabouts, as well as other safety countermeasures. And with that, the request is $54,150 in Build Kansas funds, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Any questions? Any objections? Seeing none, it's approved.
The next 147 is the City of Halstead. Accidents clustered along certain roads and intersections in town, primarily Main Street, as well as 2nd, 3rd, and 6th Streets. Between 2019 and 2023, there were 32 crashes on Halstead's roads. One of these resulted in a disabling injury, and one involved railroad tracks going through town. They did note that sadly Main Street had a fatality crash involving a child 15 years ago, which still lives on in the city's shared memory. And the CSAP will be developed for the entirety of the transportation network through town, including their streets, sidewalks, rights-of-way, and K89 located within the city limits. And the countermeasures and associated costs, scope, and elements will be proposed, as well as other non-capital recommendations. Their request is for $47,500 in Build Kansas funds, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Questions? Seeing none, it's approved. Please proceed.
The next is City of Coffeyville. This is one where they have CSAP in place for the entire region. The Southeast Kansas Regional Planning Commission completed a CSAP. In fact, it was recently awarded a national award and recognized at a national conference for their CSAP. They are proposing to conduct, and was recommended by the CSAP, that they conduct a road safety audit and traffic engineering study along the US 166 corridor. This was identified in the Southeast Kansas CSAP as one of the region's highest risk corridors. According to KDOT crash data from 2018 to 2022, the corridor has experienced over 90 crashes, including 8 involving pedestrians and 2 fatalities. Their per capita crash injury rate is 35% higher than the state average. And they also noted that over 40% of the students at the nearby schools walk or bike to school. The corridor lacks modern safety features. Fewer than 25% of the crossings have marked high visibility striping. Oops. Cursor has gone away. And the sidewalk coverage is inconsistent, creating challenges for students, seniors, and low-income residents, many who rely on walking and transit for their daily needs. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble with my cursor here. With that, their request is $30,000 in Build Kansas funds, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Questions? Representative Waymaster.
All right, so I know we've had this discussion in previous meetings. So this is for an audit and a study. What is the percentage of it actually transpiring after the study is completed? Or what is the anticipation that they're going to, I mean, we're,
In this case, yeah, and I apologize, let me get my cursor back here. It is, I think it's gone off. Oh, there we go. Need to scroll down. My apologies.
I would assume that the anticipation is that they're going to complete the project once the study is complete, but here we're allocating funds for a study, and I'm hoping this doesn't sit on somebody's desk and if it's approved by the federal government.
Right. Yeah, what they are looking at is the safety audit, providing data-driven, site-specific recommendations to reduce crashes, and then what they anticipate is implementing leading pedestrian intervals at intersections, revising signal timing, and improving crosswalk visibility and sidewalk coverage throughout town.
All right, thank you.
Other questions? Representative Hoffman.
So it looks like it's going to take 2 years just to do this. It just kind of seems like a long time for the study.
Sure.
Is that normal for a study like this to take 2 years?
It is. I will say those applicants that were awarded in fiscal year 2022, we are now just seeing the studies come back from those because it does take time to get the grant agreement in place and then conduct the study. You know, I would say, given that this one isn't likely to see implementation dollars from SS4A, you know, they wouldn't be ready next year, but the CSAPs can be used to pursue other funding sources.
So those ones in 22, are you seeing those come back for implementation?
Those are the ones we're seeing now, yes, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Other questions? Seeing none, please proceed.
Application 152 is the City of Valley Falls. This is one that does have a CSAP in place. They were awarded a planning grant in 2022. Their CSAP was approved for implementation in 2025. They noted that from 2018 to 2023, most of their crashes occurred along Elm Street near school facilities and at the intersection of K4 and Sycamore Street. Especially problematic are the areas near the high school. There's been 5 crashes nearby. The campus would benefit from safety redesign. There's minimal pedestrian infrastructure in the entire city due to having no traffic signals. The town also has very few marked pedestrian crosswalks. When they conducted their survey of residents, 44% of respondents chose condition of the sidewalks as one of their top 3 priorities for safety improvements, and 90% of the survey takers responded that it is somewhat or very important to prioritize creating safer streets for pedestrians. They're actually proposing a total of 17 implementation projects. 6 of those involve building sidewalks and ADA ramps through the most important corridors in town. 5 will create crosswalks with ADA ramps in important locations. The other projects include building a walking trail, reconstructing a main street with a water line, and then also completing a streets safety analysis, completing a traffic flow and pedestrian crossing study, establishing a brick streets policy, and implementing a safety education day at the local schools. With that, they are requesting $1.615 million in Build Kansas funds request, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Questions? Seeing none, please proceed.
Next, application 157 is Cowley County. They also do have a CSAP in place. This implementation project will be located approximately 12 miles west of Winfield at the intersection of K-15 and Cowley County 162nd Road. The corridor was identified as a top 10 location for safety improvements in that safety action plan that was completed by Cowley County. The plan is to realign the intersection to resolve site distance issues. Also, the banking of the existing curves do not meet current AASHTO or American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials requirements. So the proposed countermeasure is to remove the existing legs of 162nd Road to connect K-15 further south and realign what's currently a Y intersection into a T configuration. The enhanced countermeasures such as enhanced stop signs, safety edge treatments, and rumble strips will be incorporated into the design. This is a request for $365,433,040 in Build Kansas funds, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Questions? Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is kind of a general question. The ones we went through so far, the local contribution's been 1% on a lot of these, and I'm kind of questioning, I thought 5% was our suggested.
Sure, and that did cause some of the questions last month, and it's 5% of the 20% required, so it's 5% of 20%, which is 1%, and that's how this chart creates a little bit of questions, but at the bottom, they're noting in the asterisk that it does meet the 5% match requirement.
Thank you.
Other questions? Seeing none, please proceed.
Chase County participated in a application number 158, Chase County. They participated in a KDOT local road safety plan engineering cohort in 2024. They plan to take that work and turn it into a completed safety action plan with supplemental studies and demonstration projects. They're supplementing their data and recommendations with stakeholder input necessary for completing the CSAP. They want to select and trial low-cost safety strategies at a minimum of 2 demonstration sites that include curb extension and road diet demonstration. They are requesting $100,985 in Build Kansas funds, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Questions? Representative Francis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is just more for my information. What's a road diet?
A road diet is where you, if it's maybe a 2-lane road, you take it down to, or a 3-lane road, you might take it down to 2 lanes. No.
Other questions? Seeing none, please proceed.
Application 159, Franklin County. The county includes 7 cities that the CSAP will include. However, Ottawa and Wellsville are specifically identified as having increased community outreach due to their size and housing growth projections. The CSAP will help the community's street infrastructure catch up with the current housing growth and further prepare the streets and roadways for future growth patterns. Another large safety hazard for the county is flooding, as it's located along the Marizine River and includes 48 low-lying waterways. They are proposing demonstration projects to understand the behaviors and responsiveness to the following issues: pedestrian crossings along Main Street in Ottawa and Wellsville, keeping motorists out of flooded waterways and zones, speed management in high-risk corridors, including near highways, and then one-way driving prevention. The testing equipment that they are proposing includes rubber sidewalks, ADA curb ramps, temporary solar-powered flashing signs, solar-powered flood markers, electronics message boards, and speed radars. This is a case where the county is requesting a exemption to the 5% applicant match suggestion. And I did include, or they did provide, and we did include a letter on page 11 of their application. I've excerpted it here in the slide. Their request is due to the collaborative regional nature of the application, and the full letter is included in the application packet. With that, their request is for $165,164.15 and a exemption from the 5% match requirement.
Questions? Seeing none, please proceed.
Application number 161 is the City of Junction City. They received SS4A, Junction City received SS4A planning funding in 2022. This is for supplemental planning and demonstration, particularly for their EMS, primary emergency medical provider, which serves 36,000 residents, including Fort Riley service members. Their 4 demonstration projects include vehicle-to-vehicle communications pilot, emergency vehicle preemption system enhancements at 15 intersections, ambulance safety restraints retrofit for up to 6 units, and EMS-informed data planning and mapping. The goals and expected outcomes are to reduce intersection delays and conflict risks for EMS units, improve crash survivability through in-vehicle restraint retrofits, identifying corridor risks based on EMS response data and telematics, and then to pilot technologies that are low-cost, scalable, and suited to rural urban settings. And with that, they are requesting $145,855.40, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Any questions? Seeing none, please proceed. Representative Hoffman.
I might ask that if we could, that we maybe go back to the Franklin County. I guess I was trying to look at it when we were talking about it, but I'm kind of questioning their exemption. It's a county of 25,000 people. It says that it's a collaborative, but it's going to be mostly in Ottawa is what I think that everything's going to be at. It's $8,000 is what we're asking them to come up with. Why did they think that they should be exempt? Just simply because it's a whole county and not just one town?
That and yeah, the collaborative regional nature, and they did point to it being 7 cities, although as you said, it is primarily focused in Ottawa and Wellsville.
Right. It's, I mean, the county's the one doing it, so it's not Ottawa that's asking for it. So I don't know. I mean, it seems like $8,000 for a county of 25,000 shouldn't be that hard to come up with. So I don't know. I mean, I think I'd make a motion that we ask them to come back with their 5% match.
I have a motion, second by Representative Waymaster. Discussion? Seeing none, Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to say that I agree with Representative Hoffman on this, because you also set a precedence of giving them a special deal, and then everybody's going to be showing up here wanting the same kind of deal. So,
Other discussion?
Mr. Chair, online.
Yes, who is it?
This is Representative Vaughn.
Okay, you have a question? Go ahead.
Yes, please. Thank you. I was just wondering if the infrastructure hub folks could maybe talk about and I'm sorry if I missed this, but the exemption that was requested, if they could detail a little bit further why that exemption was requested in the application.
I will say that when our steering committee re- uh, reviewed this, they did go back and ask the county to reconsider and offer the match. At that time, the county offered the letter that's provided. I can't really provide much more background than that and what's excerpted there, other than to say that we did request from them to come up with approximately $8,000, and they provided the letter instead.
Representative Waymaster.
Well, I would say in the previous meetings that we have actually granted exemptions for, I believe it was cities. And they actually illustrated in their letter the tax base on how much is generated and why they were asking for the exemption. But this letter does not stipulate that. And so I think if they want to, go forward with the exemption, they need to elaborate on exactly why they should have the exemption. Otherwise, I agree with the motion of, I believe, this county could come up with, what was it, $8,000 for the local match. This does not illustrate in the letter specifically why they need the exemption, not compared to the other two cities that we did grant an exemption for, because they were extremely small towns, about less than 200 people in population, and they had a very limited tax base. This does not illustrate that, and that's why I seconded the motion.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll move on to,
We were in Junction City. We were on this one, in the middle of that one.
okay, yeah, go ahead.
Were we still on Junction City or had, okay, thank you. So their request was for $145,855.40, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Questions? Seeing none, please proceed.
Next is application 162, Flint Hills Regional Council. This is for the development of a regional CSAP and implementation of 9 targeted demonstration projects in high-risk locations. They plan short-term 60 to 90-day demonstration pilots designed to test innovative safety strategies tailored for rural contexts. The pilot locations were prioritized through local consultation and regional planning data, as well as aligning with strategies identified by the Flint Hills Metropolitan Planning Organization. Evaluation metrics will include vehicle speeds, safety incidents, user feedback, and public acceptance. Their demonstration projects include, and it's a number of them here, railroad safety in St. George, including flashing beacons, rumble strips, and advanced signage. Solar lighting in St. George to enhance visibility at sidewalk and bus stop locations. School access in Onega. Delineated walkways, signage, and low-cost traffic calming. ADA accessibility in Onega at the Onega Community Center. Modular sidewalks and ramps. High-risk intersections, including US 24 and US 77. Temporary turning lanes and crosswalk enhancements. K-18 roundabout striping and signage for speed moderation. School traffic flow at Onega High School includes temporary road diet, bump outs, and visual guides. Pillsbury Crossing, speed feedback signs and impaired driving deterrence. And US 24, US 77 corridor, dynamic speed signage and conflict zone monitoring. In this case, the applicant has requested an exemption to the 5% match suggestion. Get to the next slide. I've excerpted their request. It's due to the limited budgets and staffing capacity, as well as constrained general funds and lack of discretionary revenues. The request language is excerpted from the page 6 of the application. With that, the request is $346,673.80, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Questions? Seeing none, please proceed.
Next is,
Excuse me, Representative Hoffman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry, I'm still looking over the exemption. I just feel like we maybe need, when they ask for these exemptions, I feel like we need to kind of take a little bit more time and ask exactly why. So what, the Flint Hills Regional Council, what exactly is that? Is that a collaboration of those towns, or is it part of the county, or what's?
it is the economic development district for that region. So it is a separately incorporated organization that represents a multi-county area. And I apologize, I don't know how many counties. I believe it's 9, but it's not stating it in their application here.
So, I mean, it's Riley and Pottawatomie County, which are not, neither one of those counties are what I would consider, to be unable to come up with $17,000. I don't know. I mean, I do know those towns are small. St. George and Wheaton and all those are pretty small. I just, in of themselves, they probably couldn't come up with the money, but I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing it out there to see what everybody thinks.
Representative Waymaster.
Well, going back to the previous exemption that we had discussed, I would follow in Senator Fagg's comment that if we're going to make an exception for one, we're opening up a precedent. And so I think to be consistent, and again, from the executive summary, it's not detailing why they couldn't come up with the local match like the previous application. And so I would, make a motion like we did with Franklin County, and basically, send this back and try to come up with the counties that are going to be involved with this to try to come up with the local match of, I believe, about 17,000 according to Representative Hoffman's figures, just to be consistent with what the motion was with Franklin County. So that's my motion.
I have a motion, a second by Representative Hoffman. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion
No.
carries. Would you like to be recorded?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you.
You bet. Thank you. Okay, please proceed.
Next is application 163, Wallace County. They do have a CSAP in place. It is actually a safe routes to school plan that was finalized in May 2025. This is allowed by USDOT as a stand-in for a CSAP. It was finalized, I think I already said, May 2025. The planning process identified needs such as missing sidewalks, hazardous crossings on US Highway 40 and Highway 27, vehicles speeding through school zones, and gaps in pedestrian connectivity between neighborhoods and school campuses. The improvements that are being proposed are focused on Sharon Springs and Weskin, where children regularly walk, bike, or are dropped off at school along state highways and local roads lacking safe pedestrian infrastructure. They are proposing improvements that include sidewalk gap closures and new sidewalk construction near schools and residential areas, installation of rectangular rapid flashing beacons and all-way stops, enhanced crossing treatments at the US Highway 40 and Kansas Highway 27, traffic calming measures, and sidewalk upgrades at the Highway 27 railroad crossing. With that, the request is $672,523, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Questions? Seeing none, please proceed.
Application 164 is the Mid-American Regional Council. They received a planning grant in 2023. This is for supplemental planning and a demonstration project that would design and evaluate a regional program that would expeditiously provide whole blood to the scene of transportation-related emergencies. The funds will be allocated and tracked separately for Kansas and Missouri to document the financial benefits across the bi-state region. The allocation between Kansas and Missouri is going to be based on the 2020 census population figures for the counties in each state. The demonstration activities include enhancing post-crash care by demonstrating how whole blood could be expeditiously distributed to the scene of emergencies in the region, establishing relationships and participation agreements with critical partners such as blood centers, trauma centers, and EMS agencies, designing and offering training and credentialing of personnel to administer the blood at accident scenes, implementing a regional system of emergency vehicles with proper storage and monitoring of whole blood, and developing a post-crash care appendix to be incorporated into the fiscal year mark CSAP. If they do note, if the demonstration project proves to be a successful model, they'd like to see it reproduced elsewhere, including in central and western Kansas, particularly in rural areas. They cite a couple of statistics. Rural areas have 1/3 of the motor vehicle accidents, but 2/3 of the fatalities from motor vehicle accidents. And accidents that incur in rural areas tend to lead to more deaths and serious injuries, 60% versus 40% in urban areas. With that, their request is for $35,477 in Bill Kansas funds, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Questions? Representative Waymaster.
All right, so my main question is, this is a bi-state effort, and they're asking money from the state of Kansas. Has the state of Missouri offered any money?
I am not aware of any.
What is the guarantee that the money that we would allocate, if it is approved by the federal government, would actually be utilized in Kansas? Because it mentions that they have 4 counties in Kansas, but 9 in Missouri.
Yeah, they did say that they were going to allocate that based on census population figures. So they didn't give the exact percentage. I'm sorry, they did. Let me look that up. I'm sorry, they did not give the exact percentage of the allocation between states.
So I guess my concern would be if there's a total of 13 counties based off census population, most of that is going to be in the state of Missouri, I would assume.
Yes, I think that's a fair assumption. It does look like the total project cost for Kansas is $186,000 roughly, and the total project cost is $467,000 roughly. I can't do that off the top of my head, but it does look like less than 50%. It looks like maybe 35%.
Has there been a commitment from Missouri that they are allocating the rest of the money?
Other than from Mark itself, not that I'm aware of.
I would actually make a motion then that we need to have more of elaborate financing model in regards to what the state of Missouri or those in Missouri are going to be contributing to this application before we send it on for approval. So that's my motion.
Second by Representative Hoffman. Questions, Senator, Representative Francis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So did you say, though, that the total project cost was $468,000? Or did you say something like?
$467,000.
So the total project cost is $467,000. And in the application here, they're only basing our cost share on $186,718, is that right? So they're not asking us to pay for the whole thing. We're just paying for our prorated share. Am I understanding right, or am I misunderstanding something here?
That's correct.
They're wanting $186,000 from us. The balance has to come from somewhere else, not from us.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a problem with the way that it's set up. I mean, I think this is an important thing. One of the most important things for us to lower deaths, and part of the Drive to Zero coalition is the faster we can help people in trauma when there's a wreck. I didn't say that very articulate, but I'd hate to slow this up if it appears that Missouri is paying their fair share. So I guess I'll be against the motion.
Well, I would say my motion is to have an elaborate description from what Missouri is. I mean, if we're going to approve this and there's nothing from Missouri, then there's no point in moving this forward. It's just sending it back to have what the state of Missouri is going to be doing in regards to this project. Yes, this is the Kansas portion, but what is Missouri stepping up and doing? And I would say it needs to be complete package of what Missouri is doing and then what they're asking for from the state of Kansas. That's what the motion initially was.
But I don't know what the deadlines are for the grants or anything like that. But I mean, it just appears that we're going to do 186,000. If they don't come through on the other half, I mean,
True.
it doesn't happen. So I mean, I hate to slow it up for a month just based upon that.
Representative Hoffman.
So I think that's the point. If this grant would go through, Kansas got 186,000, Missouri did not get anything, then what happens? What would be the anticipation? Are they going to just do the Kansas portion, or are they going to just try to use 186 over the whole area, or are they not going to do it at all? I think that's kind of the question, and maybe we just ask for that to be delineated better going forward. If the grant is, if they receive the grant, maybe we just put on it that we do not want any of it used in Missouri, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problems with
Yeah.
that if Missouri doesn't come up with their part, that it's just going to be used in Kansas counties. I mean,
Because I'm not sure this really lays out exactly what would happen if Missouri doesn't come up with their part.
so I would make a substitute motion that we approve the application, and that if Missouri does not fund their share, the application is only approved if the funds are going to be used in Kansas counties. Did I say that clear enough?
And I would second that emotion.
Okay, we have another substitute motion and a second by Representative Waymaster. Questions on the substitution motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Please proceed.
Next on the agenda are the airport infrastructure grants. And the first, we did provide a summary table here. These total, can't read that small, $254,725 in airport infrastructure grants being considered today. The first is application number 142, City of Colby. This is to design a 100 by 120-foot box hangar to increase aircraft storage capacity and support transient jet traffic during inclement weather conditions. This is a $9,513 request, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Questions? Senator Schellenberger.
Schallenberger. And if I'm reading this right, this is simply design.
Yes, that is correct.
Not building anything for $200,000. We're designing a hangar.
That is correct.
I bet we can find some blueprints somewhere that we could give them.
Other questions? Seeing none, yes, please
Next.
proceed.
Application 143, McPherson Airport Authority. This project is to replace aging airfield lighting and navigational equipment to improve visibility and enhance pilot safety during night operations and poor weather conditions. This is a request for $9,629 in Bill Kansas funds, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Questions? Seeing none, please proceed.
Application 144, Strother Field Commission. This is located in Winfield, Kansas. This is for a snow removal equipment building construction to construct a 1,600 square foot building to protect snow removal equipment and support efficient winter operations. This request is for $10,450 in Bill Kansas fund request, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Questions? Seeing none, please proceed.
Next is application 145, City of Eureka. They do have two applications in today. This is the first of those. They were able, between the amount of funds that they had available in fiscal year 25, to propose two projects to the FAA. This one is for apron construction. Apron reconstruction. This is for design only. It's to rehabilitate existing apron and taxiway pavement to extend surface life, improve safety, and prevent damage from foreign object debris and panel cracking. This request is for $4,037 in Bill Kansas funds, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Questions? Please proceed.
Application 146, Kearney County. This project is to install a new electrical vault and replace an aging beacon to enhance airfield safety, protect critical infrastructure, and support visibility during night and poor weather operations. This is a Bill Kansas request of $10,524, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Questions? Please proceed.
Application 148, Unified Board of Supervisors for Greeley County. This project is to design and construct a dedicated medical helipad to support emergency air transport operations and reduce conflicts with both based and transient aircraft at the airport. This is a request for $7,906 in Bill Kansas funds, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Questions? Representative Francis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Does it say where the location of the helipad is in like relation to their hospital or anything?
They do not.
That's fine.
Other questions? Seeing none, please proceed.
Application 151 from the City of Liberal. This project is to construct a parallel taxiway for runway 4-22 to enhance safety, eliminate back taxiing, and bring the airport into compliance with current FAA standards. This is a request for $149,781, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Questions? Please proceed.
Application 153 is the Rooks County Airport Commission. This project is to construct a new taxi lane and up to 3 hangars to increase based aircraft capacity, preserve FAA funding eligibility, and accommodate future aviation demand. It's a request for $22,201, and we bring it to you in Bill Kansas funds, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Questions? Please proceed.
Application 154 is the second from the city of Eureka for the balance of the remaining FAA funds. This project is to construct a new fuel farm at the airport to improve refueling capabilities by installing a 4,000-gallon AV gas tank and an 8,000-gallon Jet A tank. Their request is for $6,625 in Build Kansas funds, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Questions? Seeing none, please proceed.
Application 155 from the city of Chanute. This project will rehabilitate the south portion of Taxiway A by replacing damaged concrete panels, sealing joints, and adding pavement markings to extend the pavement life. Their request is for $8,800 in Build Kansas funds, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Questions? Senator Schallenberger.
Oh, that would be a mistake. I apologize for that. Yeah, it should be southeast. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, please proceed.
Last but not least is application 156 from the city of Great Bend. This is to rehabilitate runway 17-35 and the north end of their taxiway A by sealing cracks, applying asphalt seal coat, and installing new pavement markings to extend pavement life. This is a request for $15,260 in Build Kansas funds, and we bring it to you today for final advice.
Questions? Seeing none? I think that was the last one. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Jason, thank you for being here today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Committee, next we have discussion, advice, or recommendations. Anything in particular that anyone wanted to discuss?
Mr. Chairman, I do apologize. There is one more slide, just an administrative matter more than anything, and if I could get the screen back up, I apologize. We do have an amendment from a previously approved application for the city of Emporia. Their award came in at $1,000 less than requested, which reduced their match amount by $111. Just to make you aware, we have to do that for the treasurer's office.
Questions on that? Seeing none?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Committee, did you have any recommendations or any discussion? Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was sitting here on this match suggestion. Who set that and how was that number arrived at when we say 5% suggested through that? As we go through these deals, I just wondered how that was developed.
Jason?
Sure. Through committee discussion last year in June and July, the committee expressed a certain desire to have communities to have skin in the game by providing match.
Okay, so this is this committee that you're talking about. Okay.
Yes.
Second question I have, Mr. Chairman. When I see the airport and you go through and they're doing $400, $500, is there anything on this 5%? I'm thinking if you're going in and getting that much money, you could come up with half of that. I mean, I think that 5% is too cheap. That's just a comment of mine especially on airport situations, unless somebody can explain to me why that's different and why that's so important. Because when you go down through the list and how much money they're getting versus what they're putting into it, I would think they could put a little more into it than what they are now. Just my conversation.
Okay, any other discussion? Senator Schallenberger.
Question. I think that we have scheduled these meetings at a certain time every month, and I missed the memo on that. So is that right? Or did they just come up when?
I think in the past, they were scheduled, and now that we've changed over to the Senate chair, it's,
So we don't know when the next meeting's going.
no.
Okay. Then I'm not missing it.
You didn't, and I'll make sure that they get it out as soon as it's available.
Well, and I would say, being chair last year, yeah, typically they've been around the same time every month. It just kind of depends on the applications that have been submitted to the infrastructure hub and how many we have. If there's not that many applications, then we could hold off. But I mean, in the last few months, we've been seeing an increase in the amount of applications, but it's always been about the same time. And the one thing that we tried to do was to have the meetings before they were sent on to the federal government, because then it was kind of pointless for us to be looking at them when they've already been forwarded on. And the infrastructure hub has been very diligent on making sure that we're having these meetings prior to just forwarding it on, and then we really don't have any say in regards to the application before it's forwarded on to the federal government. But yeah, typically they've been about this time, but at 2 p.m.
And we will continue the practice of doing them ahead of time. So, but I just know there's quite a little going on in the last couple of months here, so.
Schedule's moving pretty quick.
They do, and that's why I said there may be a few days difference earlier or later, so. Any other questions or discussion? Committee, we need to approve the minutes from June 17th. I have a motion by Representative Francis, second by Representative Waymaster. Any questions or changes? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Committee, I think that completes our work, right, Jason? That was it? Okay. We are adjourned.